Hey y'all, it's Jen, and I am here today with my review of The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. This book just came out in February. I believe it was February 14th to be exact. And it is marketed as a poetry book. It has 4 parts. I don't know if you can see that. But it is The Princess, the Damsel, the Queen, and You. I gave this book 3 stars. This type of poetry isn't my favorite type. I prefer probably the more flowy poetry. This is more of a prose as poetry kind of feel to it. It's not bad. Some of them were good. I just couldn't relate to a lot of them. I didn't have the same experiences as expressed in this book. If for someone that has had these same experiences, then I think they would probably like this a little bit more and relate to a little bit more. The princess part of it deals a lot about emotional abuse and her eating disorder. Then the damsel part, I probably actually related to it in parts a little bit more than any other part of this book. She talks about the loss of her sister and the loss of her mother, and the loss of her sister was a sudden, unexpected death, and then the loss of her mother was due to illness, and it lasted a long time, and it was kind of drug out. So I was able to relate to this a little bit more because I did not too long ago lose my sister unexpectedly, and my mother has been ill for most of my life. While she's probably not in any danger of dying anytime soon, she does live the life of someone who is very sick and in a lot of pain all of the time, and has been for probably at least the last 20-25 years. And that's about half of my life. I'm not quite 40 yet, so I could relate to those poems a little bit more than any of the other parts, and also the poems about attracting the wrong kind of man. Those are the ones that spoke to me the most. The next section, the Queen, was kind of her way of, we're talking about her time of getting over these tragedies and dealing with them and becoming a happier, more in control person. She still has the sadness of the loss of her sibling and her mom, and then she has to come to terms with all of that, and then meeting the right man versus meeting the wrong man. This section I wasn't really able to relate to as much because I dealt with all of this a long time ago, and I've already learned all these lessons, and I learned my lessons and came to terms with things a little bit differently than she did. Someone who is younger and just starting out experiencing this stuff and that doesn't have the life experience to know how to go through and deal with this stuff may find comfort in those poems of that section. Then finally, the last section, You. I think that was probably my least favorite section. There was only one poem in that section that I really liked, and the rest of it kind of talked about modern day stuff and coming to terms or being accepted as who you are, which that's great, wonderful stuff, but I really didn't like her poems on it. It seemed a little angry and not judgmental, but again angry. But there was one poem in that section that I really did like. So they weren't all bad. If you're going through something that you are in one of those minority groups, those poems may speak to you. And I don't know if it was because of what was going on politically in this time frame, and that is why these poems were written, as to express her thoughts and her feelings on the political atmosphere at the time, which is still going on. But again, like I said, they just caught me as angry. There is one poem that I wanted to read that I probably identified with the most. I'm not scared of the monsters hidden underneath my bed. I'm much more scared of the boys with messy brown hair, sleepy eyes, and mouths that only know how to form half-truths. My dragons. And that is probably the one that I identified with the most. So would I recommend this? If you like poetry that is not the traditional poetry, then yes, I think you would like this book. If you are dealing with some struggles on a personal level, like overcoming an eating disorder or emotional mental abuse, or if you have crappy love life choices, or if you are one of those minority groups that are being targeted right now and people are trying to not accept you, then some of these may definitely speak to you. The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. That is my review of it. If you have read this, leave your thoughts below. I'd love to have a discussion with it. Did you like it? Did the format throw you off? Did you identify with any of the poems in this book? And if you are going to read this, I'd also like to know that below. As always, thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and this review. And be sure to hit subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. As always, until next time, bye.